Welcome back to Blue Flag Bandits, the series that takes you from the back of the grid F1 teams from 2010 all the way through to hopefully the present day. And it is race number 10 of 2010, the British Grand Prix, my home race. So it's going to be a bit of pressure there, I guess. But before we get into that, we've actually been on quite the run of form in the last three races. Let's look at the standings. I'll talk you through it. We're 8th in the standings, driving the Virgin Racing VR01, 3 points ahead of Robert Kubica, and some 23 behind Nico Rosberg. But to put that into perspective, we were 18th, I think it was, with a single point from round 1 in Bahrain, all the way up to Turkey. And then Turkey, Canada, and Europe have been quite the run. We took a 7th place in Turkey, which was a good result in mixed conditions. We then took a pole and a P2 in Canada, completely against the form book. And we qualified like 14th, 15th in Europe at Valencia Street Circuit, but just seemingly had pace in the race, made our way up to 5th, which is what we were fighting for much of the Grand Prix. With Nico Rosberg and Fernando Alonso. We ended up finishing in 6th, I think, offhand. And that's where we find ourselves, 8th in the drivers' standings with 33 points. Let's not forget, our aim was just to beat Lotus and HRT, which we're doing quite comprehensively. But let's take a look at the top of the standings. It is Mark Webber leading by just 13 points from his teammate, who's a further 31 ahead of Lewis Hamilton, and Fernando Alonso cut a bit further back, but he's past the 100-point barrier. Then you've got Jenson Button, Felipe Massa, Nico Rosberg, I've mentioned, just ahead of us. And we're 3 points ahead of Kubica and Schumacher, and quite the distance ahead of Petrov, Liuzzi, Sutil, Buemi, Hulkenberg, Kobayashi, Alguersuari, and De La Rosa, who are the rest of the point scorers. Barrichello, Chandok, Kovalainen, Senna, Trulli, and Degrassi still with 8 points. But for the second time, I think, in this series, big props to Karun Chandok. He's best of the back marker teams, other than myself. And he's best of the AI back marker teams, I guess, in the HRT. Actually, both HRTs ahead of at least one of the Lotus cars. Heikki Kovalainen there sat between the two HRTs. Lucas Degrassi has basically finished last pretty much every race, other than the times he's outraced us in Spain and Monaco. So not looking good for Degrassi. In the constructors, though, Virgin Racing sits 6th, a little ahead of Force India, and only a little behind Renault, who are cut away from the top 4. Mercedes are in 4th. Quite the distance behind Ferrari, who are in turn not so far behind McLaren, but McLaren are 105 points away from Red Bull at the top of the pile. It looks like Red Bull have got the constructors sewn up in 2010 already. Force India, Toro Rosso, Williams, and BMW Sauber, as you can see there, complete the point scoring picture with HRT and Lotus staying at the back. And at the moment, Lotus are on course to finish bottom of the 2010 constructors, which is the antithesis of what happened in real life. I think Lotus were top of the 3 new teams with HRT in the middle and Virgin Racing at the bottom. But round 10, Silverstone. Now, I will preface this. This is the current layout Silverstone, I believe, but with a different start-finish and pits. In 2010, the Silverstone wing, the big silver building down the Hamilton Straight, which is now obviously the home to the pit paddock complex and the start-finish straight, wasn't completed. So we still start on the old layout with Copse as turn 1 using the old pit garages. It won't be until 2011, next year, that the wing will be complete. And as much as it's my home Grand Prix, as much as I should enjoy this place, I don't know why. I've just never really gotten on with Silverstone in the Codemasters games. No idea. There is no rhyme or reason to it. It should be a circuit that I enjoy. It's fast, free-flowing, lots of space. But it's been very hit and miss over the years. I know in some of the more modern games, 2021, 22, that sort of region, the AI were super OP at Silverstone, and I can't remember whether that dates all the way back to 2010. So this could be an interesting one. We've got 3 in a row scoring points and looking fairly good for them as well. Not exactly just tailing off during the race, but could Silverstone be the point where it all comes to an end? Let's get into practice, see how it feels around here, and I'll talk to you a little bit about the British Grand Prix of 2010. Silverstone was the venue for the 2010 British Grand Prix, a year on from its confirmation of a contract extension after Donington Park failed to raise the funds to take over the race, with this being the first race held at the new arena layout of the track that we've come to know today. Before practice began, there was some drama down at HRT, with Bruno Senna being dropped for undisclosed reasons. He was replaced by Sakon Yamamoto for the weekend, with some claiming that Senna had criticised the team in an internal email. Virgin Racing brought a significant upgrade to their car, while Lotus brought their final upgrades, switching focus to their 2011 car. McLaren also brought their own version of the blown diffuser, but couldn't get it working as anticipated and removed it before qualifying. As had been the case through much of 2010, Red Bull topped the opening two sessions, Vettel in first and Webber in the second, with many drivers including Hamilton and Schumacher being caught out by the new layout, running wide at the re-profiled Abbey corner. In the third session, Vettel regained top spot from his teammate, though did have a scary moment when the front wing detached itself on the approach to Abbey. Vettel managed to slow down enough to prevent a major accident, but with that being a new part for Red Bull, they had a bit of a dilemma on their hands. Because of the failure, Red Bull took the part from Webber's car and gave it to Vettel, sparking an outburst from Mark Webber, the public perception being that Red Bull were favouring the German driver, amplifying the perception felt after Turkey. In qualifying, the new teams at the back were, as usual, eliminated in Q1. Kovalainen led the way after pipping Virgin Racing's Timo Glock at the end of the session. Jenson Button fell victim to a Q2 elimination at his home Grand Prix, the McLaren seemingly not coping with the bumpy nature of the reprofiled circuit, while Liuzzi was handed a 5-place penalty for impeding Nico Hülkenberg, both though exited in Q2. Sebastian Vettel took pole ahead of Mark Webber, with Alonso beating Hamilton to third, while Pedro de la Rosa in the Sauber ended the session in ninth, his first Q3 appearance of the season. At the start of the race, Sebastian Vettel attempted to keep Webber behind into Copse, but failed to do so and had contact with Hamilton. Vettel ended up with a puncture. Down at the back, Lucas Di Grassi was the first retirement of the race with hydraulic issues, while Massa also picked up a puncture and had to pit. While Webber and Hamilton battled at the front, Button made his way through the field to be following the leaders, while Alonso passed Kubica off track, which netted Fernando a drive-through penalty for failing to give the place back. This became more of an issue for Alonso as contact between De La Rosa and Sutil saw the Sauber's rear wing disintegrate on the hangar straight, necessitating a safety car for clean-up, meaning Alonso could not serve the penalty until after it had been withdrawn, which sent him to the very back of the field. The safety car period actually allowed Vettel to join the back of the pack after his early pit stop, and begin an assault on the pack, carving his way through most of the field, eventually finding his way to 7th place, after essentially bullying his way past Adrian Sutil, who wasn't particularly happy with his countryman. Mark Webber, however, took the race victory ahead of Hamilton and Rosberg, which wasn't too bad for a number 2 driver, something Webber was quick to point out over the radio. At the rear of the field, Lotus won the new team battle ahead of the sole Virgin Racing car of Glock and the 2 HRTs.
Brakes and tyres are at optimal temperature.
How will we fare in qualifying for our home Grand Prix? I mean, you can see the spins we're having in practice. I've been struggling driving Silverstone in F1 games for pretty much the entire Codemasters franchise. There's a feeling that I know is not just myself, that the AI are overpowered at Silverstone, so I'm not holding out a massive amount of hope. We were surprised to be where we were in Valencia, but getting near Q3 or even points is incredibly unlikely in Northamptonshire, so we're going to have to aim fairly low. Let's try and beat Lotus and HRT and see if we can at least get 19th. So then, qualifying for the British Grand Prix of 2010, and we're in the garage in Q1. Practice times, as have been the case all the way through this season, with the obvious exception of Canada, we are way off the pace. But I tend to go out immediately on the primes, do 5 laps just for the capture, and then end the session. I don't do any more. So I think the track will be quicker. I should hopefully be quicker. The team want 15th or above, based obviously on the last few races where we've had some pretty decent qualifying sessions. I don't know if I'm quite going to manage it here. These cars, unlike modern ones, don't quite fly through some of these corners flat as you do now, but let's get into our first lap in Q1, or at least our fastest lap in Q1, and see where that one puts us. Here's our fastest lap in Q1. You can see there's only 3 minutes 40 left on the session. This is already our 7th lap of the session. We're on our second set of soft tyres, option tyres as well.
Let's warm up those brakes. Brake hard in the next few corners.
Managing to just about hold it together through Maggots and Beckett, so we do run a little wide before we get into Chapel, a real problem area throughout pretty much the entire weekend. Heading down the hang straight towards Stowe. Currently just about beating out our nearest rivals, at least we think, in 19th, as we get a green first sector. We're going into what is now the start-finish straight at Silverstone, that in 2010 was middle of sector 2. Get a little bit wide through there, and as we head towards the loop, we've got to make sure that we don't get too early on the turning there. Managed to avoid cutting the corner, ride the curve quite nicely. We're 7/10 up, so things are looking good as we head into the loop and Aintree and the newer section of track. A little deep through both of these first couple of corners, but we can at least get the power down early enough and swing it through Aintree. Heading down the Wellington straight into the final couple of corners. Once again, it's all about getting the braking right, which we sort of do, get it nice and tight on entry here, and then it's just riding the curbs, which is probably not the best way. It does kind of spit us out the exit, but we managed to get the power down through Woodcut and head out of Luffield through down to the start-finish straight, and we're out of Q1 as it stands.
Great job. We're through to qualifying 2.
The end of Q1 at Silverstone, and I don't think I've had to fight so hard to get through to Q2 since, I don't know, maybe Malaysia, China, somewhere like that, where I just don't seem to have pace. Traffic was a major problem as well, but we make it through behind both Lotus cars who were in Q2, I think both of them for the first time this season. Hulkenberg, Kubica, Kobayashi, De La Rosa, Senna, De Grassi and Chandok are out in Q1. Barrichello sneaks through, but only just at the expense of his teammate. We're just there as well. And Buemi up in 7th, Liuzzi in 8th. Alonso and Massa looking like they're going to struggle to make Q2 as Vettel and Webber continue the Red Bull assault at the top. But Q2, seeing as we've absolutely ruined 2 sets of option tyres, I think is going to be about as far as we get. The team want us to finish 15th in the qualifying. Let's see if we can meet that objective at least. In the garage then for Q2 at Silverstone, and I feel like this is probably about as far as we're going to get into qualifying at our home Grand Prix. Not just mine, the teams as well. But it's going to be a real struggle, I think, moving much further than about 15th. Don't know, just cannot seem to get this place right in 2010. I think it's just because I'm so used to the cars just sticking through the likes of Maggots and Beckett's. Chapel as well is a little less severe as a turn onto the hangar straight in the modern day, and the auto spin curbs through what is essentially still a building site where the pit paddock complex is these days, down the Hamilton Straight and into Village and the Loop and all that sort of stuff. They're tricky to navigate, and you need a little bit of patience getting into what is now turn 1, and in 2010 is sort of tail end of the lap, end of the second sector. But let's go out there with our scrubs tyres, see if we can at least advance a couple of positions in Q2.
You've been shunted down to 16th place.
Here we are then, best lap in Q2. It's already the 5th lap of the session, much like Q1, just really struggling for pace, and also, at this point, pretty much out of decent tyres. Better through Maggots and Beckett than we were in that fastest lap in Q1, really hesitating to get on the power before Chapel, because it's a much more difficult corner back in 2010 than it is now, where it's a nice, flat, left switch. Into Stowe, keeping it nice and tight on entry and riding just enough curb on exit. Into, again, what is now the start-finish straight. Keep away from the curbs both in entry point and exit point, because they can immediately spin you. Clip that one there through onto what is now the Hamilton Straight. We've got a car on our inside in Jensen Button, just about out of our way before we turn into that right-hander. Heading into this part of the lap, we're only a 10th up. We know we're not going to be getting through here. Get a little bit of drift as we go into the loop, but once again manage just about to keep it pointing in the right direction. Flying it through to the final bit of the lap. Car just doesn't seem to want to turn, and that's demonstrated by just how much we have to slow down to get the nose in into the final couple of corners. Round the last corner, we're a little bit better on entry exit than we were in Q1, but the lap time, while better, not good enough.
On the grid for the start tomorrow, middle of the field, nice driving.
So the end of Q2, and we finished Q2 where we finished Q1 in 15th, although that took a bit of a final lap send to get close enough to do that. We've just about out-qualified both Lotus cars. They were up as high as about 13th at one point in the session. They're out with us. Petrov, Sutil, Barrichello up there in 12th, like he was in Europe, and then Liuzzi in 11th. Buemi's managed to scrape through to Q3, as has Alguersuari, both Toro Rossos up there. But it's an all-British top 2, Button and Hamilton there. Vettel, Webber, Rosberg, Schumacher, Alonso and Massa also going into the shootout. That order will probably change after we get to the race, which is where we're going next. But I think that's about as much pace as we can deliver. So it could be a long one, and that point streak might be coming to an end. Here we are then, in the garage for our home race at Silverstone, starting P15 and starting on the prime tyres with a 15% chance of rain. We've struggled for pace, and I think that's best exemplified by our qualifying position, but let's go to the top of the order. Vettel took pole from Hamilton and Webber, Button 4th, Rosberg in 5th, Schumacher 6th, with Alonso, Buemi, Alguersuari and Massa completing the top 10. The Toro Rossos out-qualifying Felipe Massa. In Q2 it was Liuzzi, Barrichello, Sutil, Petrov, myself in 15th, Kovalainen and Trulli who got knocked out. And in Q1, Kubitz is down there, so we've got to watch out for a flying Renault from behind. He's behind Hulkenberg, but ahead of Kobayashi, De La Rosa, Senna, Di Grassi, who manages to not qualify last, ahead of Karun, Chandok's HRT. But it's 26 laps, and like I say, it's not been the best pace thus far. The team want me to finish 12th. I genuinely feel that that's a bit of a pipe dream. I think I'd like to at least beat the Lotus and the HRT cars. I think that's really my aim. Maybe one of the Saubers as well. More likely than not De La Rosa, if it's going to be one of the two of them. If the rain comes, that will mix things up. But we're starting on the primes. We're lacking pace. I'm lacking confidence in some parts of this track where the car just doesn't hold. I think we're going to get sent crashing to the back of the field in this one. The points, I think, come to an end, at least for now, here in Britain. And I'm going to say 18th is going to be the target. Nice and low. Just see if we can compete against the cars down near the back. But let's head to the grid for the British Grand Prix of 2010. Alan Hamilton on the front row. We're down in 15th. Ahead of the Lotus cars, at least. Di Grassi 23rd. It's been a while since we've not really been able to see the lights.
This is the team's home race. Trying to give them one to remember.
Bit of a slow getaway, but we're alright. We're off the line. Try and come across to defend from the Lotus of Kovalainen. We don't manage it, then we get into the back of him. And then Trulli goes past us. Kubitz has already gone as well. They all check up through Maggots and Beckett's, or at least Trulli does, which gives us the opportunity to get back past Kubitz through Chapel. Let's get in the slipstream of the Lotus, see if we can at least get Trulli back.
Come on, we can outbrake this guy easily.
Into Stowe. Oh, we run wide. Kubitz is going to get past. Kobayashi's going to have a think about it. We'll try Kubitz into Vale. And we get it. And then we spin. We're back at the back of the pack. Oh no. Mistakes have still crept into our races, even with the great results we've been having in Europe and Canada and in Turkey. This really could be a pretty dismal home Grand Prix for us. Come on, plenty of time. Let's see if we can catch up to the back of those HRT cars. I've just got no confidence on the prime tyres. The power too early after hitting the sausage curve, trying to just keep the Renault of Kubitzer behind me as I cut the grass there and nearly lose it again. Not going to meet the team's objective here. We're possibly not even going to meet our own. I did say right at the top, I don't like driving Silverstone in F1 games. I feel the AI is just so overpowered here. Certainly been the case in the more modern games, and maybe even seems to be all the way back to this one. I also appreciate I'm just bad at this circuit as Di Grassi gets passed by Chandok. So now I think my aim has just got to be to try and beat Lucas. Lucas is falling off the back of Chandok. Or even being outraced there by the HRT cars. Feel like we're getting lapped here. No. Just about half save it. We now lost time on Degrassi. We're going to get beat by Degrassi here, I think. The race might come back to
By our
us.
estimation, Chandok should be coming in for tyres within the next 4 laps.
I think everybody else is on the options. Under lap 5, we're 6 seconds off Lucas Degrassi. We run wide through Maggots and Backets. All over the place. We'll drive to the end, but I feel this is going to be a 24th and last unless there's
Your brakes are too cold. We need to get some heat into them.
some
Brake
issues.
hard in the next few corners.
Brakes too cold. Can't. Rob, I don't know what you want me to do, mate. There's only a few heavy braking zones here. Looks like we're playing that alternate strategy like we did at Monaco, and that didn't really work out for us, even with a better start, better starting position, and a better first stint.
We think Chandok is due to stop for new tyres within the next 3 laps.
Why do cops every lap? Spin our way around the final corner as Degrassi's in, so we'll at least not be last for a bit.
Lucas is driving down the pit lane. He's in this lap.
Again, no turning. We are that far off the HRTs. Kubica's been passed by both of them. I guess he's been in the pits. He's apparently 22 seconds up the road. I guess that'll work itself out by the time we get to the end of Sector 1, but he's going to be quite the distance away. 9 seconds. Don't forget, we span while trying to defend from Kubica. Right here. We nearly spin again. This is a terrible race. Oh, there is no two ways about it. Probably a good thing that we're working our way through the games rather than staying with 2010 through the seasons, which obviously you can do. 10 season career mode in pretty much every F1 game, although none of the years ever change, none of the circuits ever
The tyres
change.
are within the optimum temperature zone.
Oh, that's-
Tyres are at optimum temperature.
That's a corner cut. Yeah, no F1 career challenge style change of year, change of graphics, anything like that. Just 10 years of 2010, essentially. But it means that we're not needing to worry about contract offers or anything like that. And as long as we continue to meet the objectives, I don't think you can get fired in 2010. I know you can in some of the later games, which may add a little bit of jeopardy to our season of driving beleaguered cars. Maybe we can avoid that. What I don't want to have to do is restart a season halfway through because of any issues. If we get sacked, we get sacked, and that'll be the end of that year, I guess. Virgin Racing pretty much on the cusp of offering us a contract prior to today, and I think they
Ferrari
may
are
be
readying for a pit stop.
changing their
One of
mind.
their drivers is coming in.
Could obviously go in and get the options now, but they won't last to the end of the Grand Prix, even with how durable these Bridgestone tyres are. Oh, getting up close to the fans. We'll wait for Lucas to go past. We'll fall back down to the back.
We're well down on our predicted finishing position. We need to make up a lot of places.
I don't think that's happening, Rob. Even if I cut the mistakes out, I'd be struggling to be anywhere near a decent position. I'm just slow here. The AI are fast and I am slow. DQ'd in Spain. 23rd in Monaco, down in about 20th in China, Malaysia, 15th in Australia, I think. It's delivering me updates on leaders that I'm not really fussed about. I'd be more, I suppose, to know who's going to come and lap me first. In sports, some teams have bogey teams, some drivers have bogey tracks, right? This is definitely one of them. Spain another. I don't know whether it's just because these are the easier circuits to render and set up, but the AI, like I said, seem to be super quick in Spain and Britain, amongst others, over every Codemasters F1 game. No restarting, no retiring in the middle of a race unless it's damage or disqualification related. That's really been my aim all the way through. Monaco may be the only ever exception on a do not restart type deal, just because Monaco and I'm not using flashbacks. There will be races like this. I've had them already this season. There will be races like this for every season going forward. As we get into the more modern games, they might become more and more regular as the performance actually kind of the driver controlled car kind of starts to become a little bit more realistic over the years. While in this game it is simulated pretty well, the Virgins are slow, the Lotuses are slow, the HRTs are slow, the Sabres are down there. There are still ways and means, as we've seen already this season, that you can take a Virgin racing car to a podium. It does mean that as the seasons go on, Canada really is my safe haven, hopefully. We'll see if that bears out in 2011, 2012, 2013 and onwards. And to this day I still enjoy driving Canada, so you'd hope that in each season that's going to be our safe haven for maybe the only points of the year, maybe the only big points of the year. We'll see. Just about to take an acceptable racing line through Cops. It's only taken 13 laps. So the prime tyre's coming good, and then I do that through Chapel. Lassie appears to be in again, so the AI apparently taking a 2-stop here. Whereas it looks like I'm trying to 1-stop it. Perhaps he might actually get out in front of me.
Lucas is pitting now. He's in the pits.
So distracted by wondering where Degrassi was in relation to me that I went wide into Cops. This is very much what happened in Monaco. But I had more pace in Monaco, so the race could actually come back to me. Here, I don't feel that's going to happen. I spam here on lap 1 and saying, let's try and get back to Lucas and the HRTs. Well, Lucas will overtake us, quite possibly even on track, let alone when I eventually take my one and only pit stop. Obviously in the later games there are things like safety cars and more realistic AI in terms of having their own incidents and own accidents. So, we saw in China we managed to bag a couple of positions just through the likes of De La Rosa having incidents and running slowly, but it would really take something for anybody to come into view as we run wide out of Chapel. I noticed very briefly on the mini-map that Degrassi's going to have Vettel for company very shortly.
Operating temperature.
Which means I'm going to have Vettel for company fairly soon. And there are the leaders. They've started lapping Degrassi. I think if this was a full race distance, we'd be 3 laps down by the end, maybe more. At least it means if they, when they do catch up to me, probably when I've pit, I don't have to prolong the agony quite as much. We'll go to Hockenheim with our tail between our legs. Just hoping to have a better time with it.
The pit crew are ready for you at the end of this lap. Hit this lap.
We'll be boxing at the end of lap 17 then. We will get lapped by the leaders in the process, so it's a 25 lap race for us at least. $11 places down on the team's objective and 5 down on my own. 6 when Degrassi passes us in the pits. We'll be on the options though then. And in qualifying I felt like I could throw it around a bit more. Obviously those tyres grip better than the primes. I might be able to have some less pedestrian laps.
Pit in this lap.
Vettel won't quite lap me on track, that's something I guess.
Slow for the line and put the limiter on. Brake for the pit box.
Degrassi coming through the final few corners, he'll definitely get past me.
Go!
Will he?
Limiter off.
He might not actually.
You need to let the car behind you past. He's not racing you for position.
Trying to back off to let Button go through. I think I've caused him a bit of front wing damage in the process. Come on, Jensen. Button's passed. We'll have a Force India to deal with as well. He goes through as I run out through Stowe to let him go. The blue flag, this time for Massa, who also appears to be having a pretty dismal time of it. We'll back off down what is now the Hamilton straight. And Degrassi's behind me. So back off through here. Where the AI are weakest. Saved by the simple fact that Degrassi had to let other cars through. It's the only reason I remain in front of him. It's still not going to be a great result, but at least we can try and now aim to beat Degrassi on the road. We're 54 seconds behind Guru and Chandok. The HRTs might lap us. The most frustrating thing, as you can see, is we can sort of keep pace with the guys up in the top 10. Now that we're on the option tyres. I should have just ignored the team's advice and started on the options. Will be jumped by Schumacher by the end of this, depending on where he's at. I'd assume he's... Oh, as we run wide of the cops, I assume he's up there in the top 10 somewhere. Anyway, we wouldn't get jumped by him in the championship, because if that's him behind us... We're a bit wide there. It looks like a Williams. Barrichello on to get a point. Oh, those are shot through Stoke, right? Oh, Rubens. Come on, buddy. There we go. So the AI don't like the new section of track. Because we're able to keep pace with them. I probably could have been fighting up here had I started on the options, not made so many silly mistakes pushing to catch up. Callow then currently on to condemn the Saubers to a bit of misery as De La Rosa's got a point but Kobayashi doesn't, if I remember rightly, unless Kobayashi does. No, I think he does, actually. I think it means that the only people who wouldn't have scored are Chandok, Senna, Di Grassi, Trulli and Kovalainen. Caught by a Renault. Hoping that's not Kubica. Wait a second, let's through Vale and then slow down on the inside of the Hamilton straight. It's Petrov. Once again, have to completely back off through there. The AI don't want to take that corner. I might say I need to watch that sausage curve on the inside. And then I span coming out, and Kovalainen, I think it was, has just come past me. I think Buemi's going to go. I mean, lapped by about half the field. I really need to back off now because everybody's there. There's Kobayashi. Oh, De La Rosa's. Oops. De La Rosa's hit me. That's back to everybody up over there. I thought I was out of his way, to be honest. But we're coming on to what is our final lap, because most of the field have lapped us. Not going to lie to you. Not going to enjoy watching this one back to pick out the lowlights. Of silly mistakes that I'd, for the most part, tuned out in the last few rounds. Still the odd one here and there, even in Canada, but yeah, we've just not been at the races at all. Pace has been dismal. Strategy was a bad idea going prime to option. Vettel wins the race, way up ahead. I do think there's something to be said, much like Spain, just for the AI pace at Silverstone, and that's across all of the Codemasters games, not just 2010. It will be a factor, I think, through every season playthrough. While that may come across as a bit of an excuse, I don't think I'm the only one that's ever noticed that. As we round the final few corners, we're at least going to stay ahead of Lucas de Grassi, so it won't be a third time we're outraced by the Brazilian in the other Virgin Racing car, but a pretty dismal race at home. 23rd.
We're at the wrong end of the field, but at least we managed to complete the race. Well done.
Yep, silver linings, Rob. Silver linings. So we finish P23 a lap down with Lucas de Grassi in 24th. Karun Chandok, I think he was about to, if not, had already probably lapped Lucas and was chasing us down. Senna's 21st. Alguersuari dropped all the way to 20th. I think he had a pretty dismal time of it. Trulli finished 19th behind Sutil, Kubica. Della Rosa there, who came together with us as he was trying to lap us, only slipped behind Hulkenberg with Kobayashi. Buemi there in 13th. Again, slipping back after a really great grid spot. Kovalainen took 12th. Wasn't far away from points for Lotus with Petrov in 11th. Barrichello gets his first point of the season with Massa, Liuzzi, Button. 9th, 8th and 7th. Schumacher is in 6th, so will jump us in the championship. Fernando Alonso's 5th. Webber finished 4th. And it was Vettel, Hamilton, Rosberg, your top 3. What does that do for the championships? As I say, we slipped to 9th. So only slipped down 1 place, but we're 5 behind Schumacher now, and still 3 ahead of Kubica, who had a pretty bad day at the office. And then it's Petrov, Liuzzi, Sutil, Buemi, Hulkenberg, Kobayashi. There's Barrichello in 17th with his first points of the season. Alguersuari and Della Rosa completely point scorers. Kovalainen gets a best result of the no scorers now with that 12th place and moves into 20th ahead of Chandok and Senna. Trulli and de Grassi propping up the championship. At the other end, though, Vettel and Webber now level on points, and Vettel takes lead on countback with Hamilton in 3rd and Alonso in 4th. Button just a few points away from breaking that 100-point barrier. Massa in 6th as well, not too far away. And then Rosberg in 7th. Schumacher's cut away from him. We're not far behind Schumacher. That could be our aim for the rest of this season, but races like that are not going to help. In the Constructors, we remain 6th. 13 points clear of Force India. I think that result in Canada a couple of rounds ago has really saved our bacon after a race like that. Williams score another point to move just 1 behind Toro Rosso, and Sauber now 3 points further back. HRT still ahead of Lotus on countback through cumulative results, even if Kovalainen did take a 12th today. We remain, as I say, 6th, still 12 behind Renault. Mercedes out on their own really in 4th. Ferrari now into the 200s, just 30 points behind McLaren, who are still, they are what, 98? No, my maths is terrible. 118 behind Red Bull. They could be 118. As I say, I can't sum quickly, but Red Bull look like they've taken the Constructors' title already, really. There's not really a massive amount I think McLaren can do with the 2 Red Bull boys fighting away at the top. But that was our home Grand Prix, and what a dismal affair it was after the highs of Turkey, Canada and Valencia. We've really come crashing back down to earth, but at least our objectives were low, I guess. We knew that pace was going to be an issue here. As I said, an element of me just not being good at this place, not driving particularly fast, but I do believe there's an element of AI in Cody's Games Love Silverstone. We'll see if that bears out over the coming seasons, and we'll see if we remain rooted to the bottom or whether we are able to make some positions in the intervening years. But back to pre-Turkey dejection, I guess, after very much a race like Spain, really, in terms of how that all went down. But thank you so much anyway for watching. Hockenheim next. Hopefully we can kind of get back on track. Fingers crossed. But like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Thanks for joining me on this one. I'll see you soon.